Hi, this is Mike Morford, one of the producers of Scene of the Crime. I want to thank you for listening to Season 1, Delphi. If you invested your time to listen to Abby and Libby's story over 7 episodes, then you're the kind of listener that I wanted to reach out to now, because you probably care about victims and their families, and the journey to get justice. Because of that, I think you might be interested in a brand new podcast that I just launched called Missing Persons. In every episode of Missing Persons, you'll hear the backstory of an ongoing missing persons case, and then hear from a loved one who's searching for that person. You'll hear them discuss the case and how it's affected their family. Just as with Scene of the Crime, Delphi, my goal is to spread awareness of these missing persons cases, and hopefully reach someone who might have that one clue that helps find these people. Will you join me and become part of the search for answers in these cases? I hope you will. I'm including a preview of the show here for you. And brand new episodes launch in March 2020. You can listen to Missing Persons everywhere you listen to podcasts. So search for and subscribe to Missing Persons right now so you don't miss an episode. And many of you listening may already be familiar with my podcast, The Murder of My Family. But if you aren't, let me just say that the format is very similar to Missing Persons. But unlike Missing Persons, which is brand new, The Murder of My Family has over 50 episodes right now available to binge. And you can also find it everywhere you listen to podcasts. So if you aren't already subscribed to The Murder of My Family, be sure to find it and subscribe right now. I'll include a preview of that here for you as well, following the preview for Missing Persons. Once again, I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to Season 1 of Scene of the Crime, Delphi. Make sure you stay subscribed to Scene of the Crime, because should there be any breaks in the Delphi case, or hopefully an arrest, we'll be back with an update episode. We'll also be back with Season 2, and an all-new deep dive into a different case. And you should see Season 2 arriving this summer, 2020. So stay tuned for announcements about that. Thanks for listening, and enjoy these previews. It's estimated that at any given time, there are 90,000 missing persons, and that's just in the United States. Imagine if your loved one went missing. Is there anything that you wouldn't do to try and find them? Would you cross oceans, spend your life savings, continually retrace their last known steps, just hoping something jumped out at you? This is Missing Persons, a brand new podcast, and I'm your host, Mike Morford. If you're a true crime podcast fan, you might recognize me from some of my other podcasts, including Criminology, 3 Men and a Mystery, and The Murder of My Family. The most important part of hosting a podcast for me is advocating for the cases and the victims I discuss, as well as their families. I've been approached by so many people with a missing loved one asking me if I could help them in any way. And if it was my loved one that was missing, I'd want someone to help me too. So I couldn't say no. And this podcast, Missing Persons, is the result of me wanting to help. In every episode of Missing Persons, you'll hear about a person who disappeared and currently remains missing. In some cases, there are clues to follow and leads to check on. In other cases, it's as if the person just vanished off the face of the earth. And in each episode, you'll hear from someone who's searching for that missing person. And whether they've been looking for 30 days or 30 years, the pain of not knowing what happened to their loved one is real. And the search for answers, a painful one. Here's a small preview of what you'll hear coming up on Missing Persons.
You know, her mom didn't think too much about it. I think they exchanged some texts and maybe some calls during the day on May 1st and then May 2nd. The early morning hours of May 2nd, I think Patty woke up and I think that she realized, you know, wow, something's not right. She hasn't come home. She was supposed to come home. She was always a good girl. I mean, she'd do anything for anybody, and I think she just trusted the wrong people. I think that she honestly thought these people were her friends, you know, quote, her friends, and I just think that she totally just didn't know what she was getting into, becoming friends with any of them and going in that area. It shows that her phone pings in the area, you know, like from a tower. It doesn't show you specifically what address they were at, but with the police questioning people, they were able to get, you know, where she had been that night. The trap houses, they're usually empty during the day. So we were able to, during the daylight hours, we've been able to search the areas, go inside the trap houses and search those. We haven't had any problems getting in there and searching those areas either. So we've been all right, going into the areas at nighttime. We wouldn't want to do it at nighttime, and we haven't, really done too much at night, just because of the area that it's in. Gosh, I hope she is alive, but gosh, I hope she, isn't in sex trafficking. I don't know. I don't know which would be the lesser of the two evils. It's all evil. It's just completely evil. The whole situation is evil. And the people that help with her case, we refuse to let her name be forgotten. I mean, we have pushed and pushed and pushed and, tried to get her name and keep her name out there for everybody. We want her home. I mean, that's the bottom line, and we're not going to stop searching for her or stop doing anything until we have her.
Early Saturday morning, the last time we saw him, but he was supposed to come over here Sunday, that day for Mother's Day, and never showed up. That was it. I mean, we've never seen him again after that. And when Monday morning came around, I thought for sure he was going to come back. He was out with some friends or something, like went to the lake or something like that. And he didn't show up to go to work Monday morning. I knew something was definitely wrong. That's when we called the police to do a missing person report.
We really honestly did not think we'd be sitting here going on 23 years, still wondering, what happened to him.
We'd go out and search and look and all that, and thinking that I was going to find him somewhere. And oh man, the things that you go through your mind and the thoughts and all that, it hasn't gotten easier as to where my son is and what happened to him, because I'm thinking about it all the time. I want to know where he's at. And when you have children, one of them come up missing like my son did, and you want to know where they're at and what happened to them, and you'll do just about anything to find out.
By the end of May, I was getting a bit frantic because I was calling everyone in Canada. Had anyone heard from him? I was in absolute panic, because I just couldn't understand what was the matter. Panicking what to do, and has anybody seen him? Anybody heard from him? I began to realize that they weren't going to help me. So we started to make arrangements for me to go to Canada and search for him myself. We received a phone call later in the day that I had to go downtown and identify his belongings. It is a belief of this detachment that your son is dead. We may never find his body or what happened to him. In dismay, I looked at him and I said, how can you say this? I've been begging you to look for my son for a year. Yeah, we're financially ruined. We lost our home long ago. But this happens with most families with missing children, or missing loved one. For the love of a child, you can't stop.
Missing Persons officially launches in March 2020. Will you join me and become part of the search for answers in these cases? If so, search for and subscribe to Missing Persons right now, wherever you listen to podcasts, so you don't miss an episode. Hi, this is Mike Morford. You may know me as co-host of the true crime podcast Criminology. I'd like to invite you to listen to one of my other podcasts called The Murder in My Family. In each episode of The Murder in My Family, I discuss a murder case and include an interview with a family member of the victim to discuss the aftermath of the murder in an attempt to view these crimes from a unique perspective, one that we don't usually experience. Some of the cases I cover are well known, while others you probably never heard of. I currently have dozens of episodes available for you to binge on, including episodes about the Golden State Killer, the Delphi murders, and the Colonial Parkway murders, just to name a few. Here's a small sample of the kind of conversations you'll hear on The Murder in My Family.
Mike, at the risk of sounding like every other proud big brother around the world, Kathy was an amazing person. She was 27 years old at the time of her death, and she'd already accomplished a great deal.
One point that I wanted to get across was that the victims whose murders I discuss aren't just statistics or a blurb in a news report. These were real people whose murders affected their family members, forever changing their lives. It's important to know that they too are victims.
For me, knowing that he has a family and that he gets to see his kids every day and that he gets to be there for his kids growing up, it's not fair. My dad did everything he was supposed to do as a father and as a husband. And someone decided that night that he didn't get to do that anymore. it's frustrating knowing that, he'll get to see his kids grow up and graduate and get married and do all that. And my dad doesn't get to do any of those things. He doesn't get to see he has 3 granddaughters now that he'll never see, and they'll never meet their grandfather. And it's not fair.
New episodes of The Murder in My Family come out every other Saturday, and you can find The Murder in My Family everywhere you listen to podcasts. Subscribe today so you don't miss an episode.